Shalom, children of the earth. Shabbat Shalom is almost over. However, I hope everyone enjoyed their Sabbath, their Saturday, the seventh day of the week. So today, the topic for the Sabbath is over. It is going to be on death, because what I learn, I will share with the children of the earth. So the topic is death. First question. Were you afraid growing up about death? Like, were you afraid of death growing up? Because I know I was. To the point where I had to ask my mom, what type of creator will create human beings or any living creatures only to kill them off later? So this is the topic of our discussion for this evening. So what I come to understand in this world that we liveth, we are programmed to be afraid of death. And I learned that it's because those that are in so-called power wanted to control us. It's all about wanting to control our minds, our psyche, our hearts, our feelings, our emotions, just wanting to control everything. And I think it's all about the outcome of it all, right? Because people who want to control other people, don't they got a hidden agenda? Right, so what I come to learn about death is not about being afraid. What I learned today is that look at death as a way, as a graduation ceremony. Why do I say a graduation ceremony? Because we're programmed to think of death as a mourning, and we're mourning someone because we lost someone. We're programmed to believe that we have to live long and never ever die. Like, this is the stuff that we were brought up with. I'm a 78 baby, okay? So I'm just sharing my experience of understanding what death is and all the myths around death. Even though I had a mom who said death is not real, and I did not understand that. However, her beliefs were my belief. So she said, don't be afraid of death. That's the very first thing she taught us, to not be afraid of it. So today, right, when I was doing my studies, because I always vet information myself, I always seek information. I just don't take other people's word for it. I ask the spirits to guide me. I ask for wisdom. I lay my head down and I pray for wisdom, clarity, understanding, right? This is what I pray before I go to sleep, especially if my psyche is battling something on inside. All these thoughts that we have in our heads, we're constantly battling. Like last night, I tossed and turned all night, okay? So the one thing about death, this thing about death, I can't be the only one who grew up afraid of it. So why do I call death a graduation ceremony? Because there are people who have near-death experiences, and there are many, many different stories about their experience. One that I kept researching and finding out is that people kept saying once they crossed over, they did not want to come back here. Like, they did not want to come back. Some was pulled back, but a lot of people have explained that it's such a warm, peaceful experience, whether you're walking to a light or a tunnel of light. Some people said they hear music. It's just that it's more peaceful during that transition. So I can understand why they don't want to come back. So I said, if it's that peaceful and people really do not want to come back here, but they have to come back for whatever unfinished business, I said, there has to be more to that. Like, people don't die and say, oh, well, I want to stay dead, right? Because especially we were programmed to be afraid of it. So I was like, well, what is that wanting not to come back here, but having to come back here? And if death, the near-death experience is so peaceful, why would anybody want to come back here? Okay, so I said to myself, if it's that peaceful, that means that our source is so beautiful that when we die, or experience death, it's a graduation because it's like we graduated from this living experience only to so-called die and go back to our source, which is so peaceful. To me, that is a graduation. That means you lived a human experience, and death only brings you back to your source, only to continue to live on. So why have we been programmed to be afraid of death? Okay, they want to control us because they want us to obey and be submissive and forget. It's all about forgetting where we originally come from. So now that I wanted to tap in and remember, I wanted to remember, what is this big theory about death and why we have been programmed to be afraid of it? Only to come to find out, they didn't want us to remember that we come from a source that is so beautiful, right? That they want to keep us here. Eating the flesh of animals keeps us here. So I understand now why they wanted to control everything. They didn't want us to remember we come from a source that is beautiful. And death, and I'm going to say it one more time, death is a graduation ceremony. It is a graduation. I call it that because that means that we lived whatever life that we liveth. And especially if you're a good being, if you were good frequency and you treated people well, when you die and we go back to our source, it's almost like you got a good report card, or you pass, like you're elevating to a next level. Think about it, y'all. Come on. It can't be that far-fetched. Think about it. Our source is beautiful and warm and full of love and light. Death is only a graduation because we are going to now move on to the next level of our graduation, our classing, our schooling, our teachings. So no children of the earth, you do not have to be afraid of death anymore. I'm not anymore. And in this life of living in the human experience, because we are frequency, we are light, we are forever, we are eternal. We come from a peaceful place. And music, there's a song called This Woman's Work by Maxwell. I am telling you guys, when I first heard that song in my teens, I would cry relentlessly, only to be told that music is like a marker, a reminder of where we come from, right? Everyone has whatever vice it is that clicks inside of them, deja vu, or whatever moves your spirit in this vessel having this human experience. Music is one for me. That song, I will cry relentlessly, only to remember that song is a marker of what? Of where we come from, our source, so beautiful, so loving, so warm, so full of light. Music was for me. Music is that marker inside of me to help me remember who I am, where we come from. We are not the flesh. We're not our brain. We're not our hair. We're not the food we eat. We're not this. However, our frequency is everything. Our frequency, the vessel holds our frequency. The vessel holds our memory. So I wanted to remember. And now that I remember, death is a graduation ceremony because we live on after death. That is beautiful, y'all. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to keep beating the horse into the ground, but I'm just excited to share and understand and to remember this human experience is just an experience. We are beyond the flesh. We are beyond what we see, what we smell, what we taste. We are forever. That's what frequency is. That's what light is. So death is a graduation, no longer to be feared. We graduate and then we keep living on, and we're moving up to the next level of whatever class, college, schooling, call it what you want. But death, y'all, it's a graduation. You no longer have to be afraid. Once you start letting go of titles and names and letting go of the things that we're attached to, then you'll understand why I'm so excited about this news. Shalom.